We have snake eggs! Yeah! After weeks of testing, I've finally cracked it. I wasn't going to give up, so I built this new version out of a combination of everything I found out, all your suggestions, and borrowed ideas from my dino taming pen. The first vital bit of information that everyone seems to leave out is that you must build your snake farm inside the swamp area. If it's close to it, or even if it's on its border like this, the snakes aren't going to lay eggs. I think that's the only reason why my other designs didn't work, that they needed to be built in a swamp area. You can check them out here and test them for yourself. There are multiple designs there, so you can take the pick of the one you like best. I'm going to stick with this latest one I've made, as it's guaranteed to work. I've only built a section of it at the moment, as I wanted to test it before I completed it. On this design, I've hedged my bets and removed anything that could stop the snakes from laying eggs. The bottom level of the wall is made out of stone gateways. The openings will make the snakes think they can get out and that they're free. Then it's 3 window frames high above, again so they're open and the snakes think they can get out. This should rule out any of them not laying in an enclosed area. Next I use my fastest Argent to collect all the snakes in the swamp. As you can see, they've already started laying eggs. That's because the snake farm is now in the swamp, but also because I flew out of its render range for a while. In my original video, I built the farms out of the swamp area, or on a riverbank that didn't work either. When I finished filling the cage up with snakes, I sat there for hours. That was also the wrong thing to do, because the only way you'll get the snakes to lay eggs is to fly out a render range. If you've collected all the snakes in the area, bring them back a Philomena to eat. I don't know if it increases their chances of egg laying or not being fed, but it's not going to hurt. Some people think you are more likely to get eggs if you feed the snakes, but I think that's just the process of flying off out of a cage range to get the pigs. Because while you're out of a snake render range, that's when they lay eggs. As you can see, there are no eggs in the cage at the moment. I've collected all the snakes in the immediate area, so now I have to get them from further afield. There's a swamp area at the back of the base, so as you would, I'm just going to fly out and get another Titanoboa. I've moved far out of a render range of a snake farm now to collect another snake. So when I get closer and fly back into range, that's when a snake should lay an egg. And there we go, we have one. But as you'll also notice, most of the other snakes have despawned. They do last longer being in the swamp area, but there's nothing you can really do to stop that. You're just going to have to keep filling it up with snakes. I tested flying in and out of a render range again and again, and that's what you definitely need to do to get them to lay eggs. Also, a good tip when you're collecting snakes is to keep an eye out for any extra eggs you might find. A Titanoboas still lay eggs in the wild, so you should be lucky enough to get a few. After I was sure that this method worked, I extended the cage and finished it off. I added an extra 2 segments to test if snakes only lay eggs in specific areas. That was shallow water, this is deep water, and that's on land. It turns out that it doesn't make a difference. They still lay eggs if it's on land or in water, as long as it's in the swamp area. To get the snakes from one section to the other, open the doors and then fly slightly above them on an Argent. They'll follow you, but just make sure you're out of striking range. You don't have to do a long cage like this. A 2-segment one with a door in the centre will do. Then you can just kite the snakes to one side, close a door, then retrieve the egg on the other. Titanoboas mostly lay just one egg. However, sometimes they lay 2, and you're not limited to just 1 egg in a cage at a time. I've had up to 4 eggs in a cage at once before I've collected them. A good thing about having a long cage like this is that you can kite the snakes to one side, then just fly to the other to collect the egg. I've tested and retested this snake farm and it's guaranteed to work. However, next I ran extensive tests to see how far you have to fly away and for how long, plus if there was anything else I could do to increase the number of eggs. So we have our snake farm. Like I say, it doesn't have to be 3 segments like this, it could just be 2. But with 3 it's easier, because if any snakes get stuck, you can just lead them to the other side. Now you can farm snake eggs by yourself, but it's a lot easier if you've got something to do it with. So what I've done is build a small hut next to the egg farm. Somebody can go in that and then go AFK. Then in the meantime I can go off and collect snakes. But because there's somebody in that hut next to the captive Titanoboas, the snakes in the cage won't despawn. So you'll end up with dozens of them in there, and that'll increase the chance of getting more eggs when they leave. Plus the snakes didn't seem to despawn so much, and they remained there for hours. The person going in there should leave all their stuff at base, then just take food and water, so when they do go AFK, if they die they don't lose anything. When you've got enough Titanoboas, get the person in the hut to go back to base, as you won't be needing them anymore. Next fly away from the egg farm so it's out of render distance. I'll show you how far you need to go now. Okay, this is a distance you need to move away from it. Now wait here for 2 minutes. I tried shorter times, but 2 minutes seemed to be the minimum. Once you've waited, fly back to the snakes and hopefully you should have an egg. It's hit and miss and you won't get one every time. It will take hours and it is a pain, but at least you'll know you'll be getting some. Once you've checked if you've got any, repeat the process and fly out of render range again. If you're going for more snakes, don't stay away too long or yours will despawn. On my official server, there seems to be a purge cycle every now and then. That's where for a few game days, every dinosaur on the map vanishes. If you have the same, don't bother collecting eggs on that day, because every snake you'll drop in will just vanish as soon as you fly away. So, just to recap, always build your snake farm in the swamp, and you need to fly back and forth out of render range to make them lay eggs. And here's my other designs again you could try. They may all work now if you build them in the swamp. Thanks for watching, and if this was helpful, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to check out the other links at the end. Goodbye.